In your country, one of the big controversies in your country has been recently the whole question of racial integration and of cutting off immigration and of asking some of your non-whites to go back home again.
Yeah.
You've been asked about this, undoubtedly.
No.
Do you think this is the kind of government that policy that you want in your country?
We reap what we reap, whatever it is, and that Britain is paying for what it did to all those countries, and to say keep out is just barking in the garden, because whatever is going to happen will happen like that.
It was just some fellow who said a speech one day, and
he said what a lot of them thought.
And a lot of people in Liverpool and other places well favor what he said, apparently.
Sure, because those people are all over the place.
But those people.
That's why the governments are in power, because
they don't
people,
know a thing,
because they're not told anything as well.
It's people that they see. Well, I'm white and he's black. Hate.
And he's not brought up any other way.
They don't know anything else than that. So they've got to agree with this fellow who gets them and says, we've got a dangerous situation here.
And they vote him in, and he makes them feel all right, and he tells them that you're right. You know what's happening. You put me in power. But what they don't know is that he knows a bit more of what's going on. That's why he's in power. But he's not going to tell them what's happening because he wants to stay in power, because if they knew, they wouldn't have put him in power. Somebody else would be.
But it's not as bad in England as it is here.
Probably is, it's just a different...
I don't think it is.
You're talking about racism.
Yeah, I think it's...
Well, it will be then.
I don't know, I don't think it's as bad. Just from what I've seen, it might be, because it's hidden more in England. Definitely.
Well, that might be worse,
that might be worse, yeah. But there's just not the numbers going on.
Well, it's just that, England's that big and America's that big.
It's much worse in England,
This whole question of colour. Tell us about it.
No, that's it.
No, go on.
He was joking there.
Really?
He came around the circle.
Yes. But this business of colour and the young people and people who follow you, this doesn't have any significance in the mind of many of your young people.
No, it's good. Most people don't. It seems to be older people really have got that angle.
Yes, and musicians and the things their vibrations don't usually have this about what street you live on. I mean, they get that scene sorted out as soon as they meet other musicians, because it's the music that counts. But there's no common denominator for society, like music or whatever they're going for.
Someone can play guitar, it doesn't matter what coloured hands he uses.
But it also doesn't matter for the carpenter and the bricklayer and all that, but they don't have the sort of,
but I mean, everyone knows that anyway. There's only a few, I don't know who these people are who
they're the ones that vote for those people.
There's just some funny people around who are messing it up.
Lots of them.
Of course,
find those people.
People don't like the long hair and the
well, we know those people are sick, and we might all be sick, but their manifestations of sickness are pretty, horrible, really, frightening.
There was something in England where there's a kid went to the barber's and, that's his uncle said, go and get your haircut. And so he went, he just had a little bit off, because he had it quite long and he liked it. And he came back with just a bit off, and so his uncle, his guardian, got annoyed and dragged him back and had it all off, The kid just come with a little crew cut, and he's really broken up about it. And the next morning they found him on the railway lines. The kid had just sort of laid down with his crew cut. And, there's no need for
to
that.
Make haircuts that important is insanity,
Yet some people probably say to you, why don't you cut your hair short? Are you just wearing it that way to be different?
No, it's just why don't you wear yours long,
We do what we like in that respect, don't we? We please ourselves. What's it got to do with some man with one eye?
There's no...
You know that man with one eye that's always sitting around the back. Man asking you why your hair's long.
Yeah, of course, it's always there.
But all those things, like hair and colour, and you know, all those things that hang people up, there's no need, because there's no worry. I mean, those are the least worrying things around.
But they're the causes, aren't
And
they?
it's
One of
very
the effect
sensitive,
causes,
yeah.
ditto, ditto, rum, bumble, bumble.
Yes. What about the Queen and the royalty in Britain?
What
is
about
it a hang-up?
It's not a hang-up, but I mean, imagine being brought up like that for 2,000 years. You must be pretty freaky, and they must have a hard time trying to be human beings. I don't know if any of them ever make it, because I don't know much about them. But I mean, you feel sorry for people like that, because it's like us, only worse, you know. And whether they know what's going on or not is another subject.
But they've probably got their own thing, you know, inside the castle.
Chest.
You know, they're just...
Well, you've been inside the castle.
No.
Well, I mean, you
got
know,
your decorations.
But that is a very strange life, isn't it? I mean, that's another manifestation
You
of
don't really talk to her.
craziness.
You know, you don't really talk to her because she's not the Queen. It's like you don't really talk to President Johnson ever. You sort of shake hands and appear to talk
And
to
if
him.
they believe that
But
they're
he's the
royal,
president, yeah.
that's the joke. You know, if they believe it, well, they can carry on, you know, because it's just very strange to think that you are royal. I
But
mean,
they're
what's
probably just, you know, great and human and have just got their own scene going, you know.
There'll be one or two of them, maybe, over
You
the
think
5
It's just a
million.
very difficult job, and it's a
You
hard...
think it all should end?
Well, I
No,
don't
you
know.
know.
Don't know about
No,
that.
why? You know.
But it's very costly. It's priorities, really, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, it's been said that you have such a tremendous amount of influence. You said yourself in that very controversial remark at one time that you were more popular than Jesus, and you had to correct the interpretation
yeah.
of
Mind
that.
you, the Queen's freaky isn't a bad one.
Yeah, that's not bad either. And that
That'll be
Hitler
a
never
headline
had bigger
somewhere.
crowds than you did.
The headline taken out of context yet again.
You know, the United States has been plagued by the war in Vietnam, as has Vietnam, and the world has been concerned about it. What are your views about the war?
It's another piece of insanity. You know. It's all part of the same insane scene that's going on. It's just insane. Well, it should be going on. There's nothing else for it. No reason, just insanity.
You know, whoever's right and whoever's wrong, it's still...
I mean,
the
if they're
thing
right,
that's going on there
well,
isn't a good thing. You know, and there's only that much world. And in a few bits of it, there's rough things going on. A few bits, there's worse things. And a few bits, it's just insane. You know? And that's one of those bits.
Since you're not diplomats, let me ask you to meddle in American politics as our concluding question.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of candidates.
We don't know all that
We don't
much
know
about
much about
it.
it.
You know the names, and
No.
you've heard the names.
not really. I mean, we hear the sort of
Eisenhower.
Kennedys, and we met a man with a called Green, who sells plastic flowers to try and get people to vote for him, which is a good sign of what he is, anyway. But we don't know much of the doves and olives, isn't it?
Doves.
So, I mean, anything about that, my choice would be a dove, but I mean, it might be an insane dove. But that's the risk you've got to take. Oh.
Cool.
You're not ready to make a commitment.
don't
to
know.
an
Sure,
American
go on.
candidate.
Yes, ask them.
I mean, would you pick a McCarthy or a Kennedy
A
or
dove.
a Humphrey or a Nixon or a Rockefeller?
A dove?
Yeah. It's just too hard because, you know, we don't sort of know what they are, those people. You know, we see all their pictures in the paper. We don't know really what they're doing, you know. Do you? You know.
What about Harold Wilson?
Yes, what's he doing? I mean, what are they all doing? That's the point.
Well, what do you do? Let me just ask this very final question. What do you do when you talk about the establishment and you try to put something in its place?
Well,
You're
see,
not satisfied with
we're
what's
all
up there.
part of it as well. I mean, the establishment is abstract and all that bit. So we're all part of it. So it's just to change it any way you can, if you think you can, you know, that's all you can do.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
John Lemon and Paul McCartney.
It's just whatever goes on in my head. But it comes out in the songs, some of what goes on in my head.
Right, but it's a very profound going on.
Yeah, it's difficult to get everything you think in your head. It'd be nice to be able to lay that on them, but it's more difficult. I do like songs that have no meaning and that aren't social comments. At the same time, I like songs that do have a meaning.
these kind of things, you can't really talk about how they come, because they just come into your head, you know. They really do. And it's like John writing his books, you know. There's no... I don't know how he does it, and he doesn't know how he does it, but he just writes. It's like any writer, you know. I think people who actually do create and write, you tend to read in and think, oh, well, now, how did he do that? But it actually does flow, just flows into their head, into their hand, and they write it down, you know.
I think generally, you know, not just for my own things, for Ringo's things and for Paul and John's things, it's all getting better all the time, as they said on the last album.
Well, it's simple in concept because we couldn't think of anything else to put on it. And that's what I was saying about the Sgt. Pepper thing. Maybe on Pepper we would have sort of worked on it until we could find some way to put violins or trumpets or something on it. But I don't think it needs it, this one, you know, it's just... There's nothing to the song. It is just one of those pick it and sing it, and that's it. The only point where we're thinking of putting anything on it is where it comes back in at the end, so it stops and then it comes back in. But instead of putting any backing on it, we put a blackbird on it. So there's a blackbird singing at the very end, and somebody said it was a thrush, but I think it's a blackbird.
Like that one I wrote about 2.5 or 3 years ago, but I never finished it. I needed one line in the lyrics, and it was in a book. I'd put the lyrics in a book at home. I forgot completely about it until last summer when I dug the song out and I got my mother to finish the lyrics. She just gave me one line.
Beatles will remain, there's no doubt about that. And I'm fed up with saying, they've been saying it since She Loves You, you know. We're together and that's it.
Well, they still...
At least one or two of them, at least once a week. And it's usually at Apple. Ringo's in there hustling his film, or George is in there hustling with Doris Troy and that. And I'm in the bag office hustling, so we come across each other like that. And of course we always know what each other's doing, because our network tells each other all the time exactly where we are, in case we want to get in touch. And we do a lot of postcard writing. Paul started this gig of sending postcards to everyone all the time, you know, to keep in touch and just to say hello. So we do a lot of that, sending messages through the post and jokes and telegrams, that kind of thing.
I think in a way it was a mistake doing 4 sides, because it's too big for people to really get into it. Maybe now people have bought it, and if they've really listened to it for years or since it was out, then they'll have their own favourite. It was a song of mine I wrote towards the end of the Beatles album, you know, the White Album. I wrote it as we were still recording that album, but I never finished it off. I could never think of words for it. And also because there was a James Taylor song called Something in the Way She Moves, which is the first line of that. And so then I thought of trying to change the words, but they were the words that came when I first wrote it. So in the end I just left it as that and just called it Something. Like Ray Charles doing it, but because I'm not Ray Charles, then, you know, I'm sort of much more limited in what I can do. Then it came out like this. It's nice. It's probably the nicest melody tune that I've written. Maxwell's Silver Hammer is just something of Paul's, which we've been trying to record it. We spend a lot of time on it. It's one of those instant sort of whistle-along tunes, which, I don't know, some people will hate and some people will really love it. You know, fun sort of song. But it's pretty sick as well, because the guy keeps killing everybody. That's one of the tunes we use synthesizer on, which is pretty effective. Here Comes the Sun is the other song that I wrote on the album, and it was written on a nice sunny day this early summer in Eric Clapton's garden, because we'd been through really hell with business, and, you know, it's very heavy. And on that day I just felt as though I was sagging off, like, from school. It was like I just didn't come in one day, and just the release of being in the sun, and it was just really nice day. It does like 2 verses of one tune, and then it goes, the sort of bridge of it is like a different song altogether. Slumbers, which always link up. Golden Slumbers is another very melodic tune of Paul's, which is very nice. Carry That Weight is as if it's part of Golden Slumbers. In fact, Carry That Weight keeps coming in and out of it different times. and the end is just the end. It's just a little sort of sequence which ends it all. So far, I can't, like with Pepper and even that White album, I got an overall image of my own of the album, whereas with this one, I'm at a loss. People have said it's a bit more like Revolver. Maybe it is, but it's a bit like it's somebody else, It doesn't feel as though it's us. Even though we spend hours doing it, I still don't see it like us. It's more like just somebody else. But I think it's a very good album.
John Lennon and the 44th Street Fairies, how are you?
Oh, hi, John. Just great.
Who's that?
This is John Lizardo from Orange County.
Hello, John. This is John. Hello, John.
Hi,
this is John.
I've got a request for you.
Oh, jolly hockey sticks. What is it?
I was wondering if you could play What a Shame Mary Jane Had a Pain at the Party.
You know about that one, do you? Well, that one's not out yet, and I don't have it with me.
Listen, did you record that with the Beatles, or is that by yourself?
It's me, George, and Yoko, actually.
George and Yoko.
Out of our minds on the floor of EMI one day, and it's a wonderful song. You'll hear it one day. We'll put it out on one of those repackages.
Revolution number 9 was all right, but it wasn't particularly like Beatles. But then again, it has good points, because Revolution number 9 worked very well in the context of all those different songs. I mean, that was the great thing about it, that if people spent enough time listening to it, then there was all different types of music and types of songs. And there was nothing really shocking about it. I don't think there was anything particularly poor about it. It was a bit heavy, I find it heavy to listen to myself. In fact, I don't listen to it myself. I listen to mainly side 1, which I like.
Yes. Jesus, how what? The lab middle's not now.
Honey on the man.